The Seattle Seahawks just turned the entire NFC upside down, and most people still think last season was a lucky fluke. They won the Super Bowl with the youngest core in football, threw that parade, and everyone clapped. But nobody really stopped to realize what happens when a team this talented gets even better. This isn't some feel-good one-off. This is the beginning of something scary for the rest of the league. Look at the offense first. Sam Darnold finally found a place where the playbook matches how his mind works and how strong his arm is. He isn't forcing throws anymore, he's making the right ones look easy. Then you've got Kenneth Walker turning into the kind of back who doesn't just break big runs. He grinds defenses into dust play after play. And Jackson Smith-Njigba? He's gone from big promise to real problem. Slicing through coverage on third downs and making defensive coordinators sweat every time he lines up. That side of the ball feels locked in, like it's built to keep climbing. But the real nightmare for everyone else is that the defense, the one that actually carried them through January, is coming back almost the same. Devin Witherspoon brings that wild energy in the slot or outside. Rick Woolen wipes out half the field with those long arms. Ernest Jones cleans up everything in the middle, and guys like Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence keep winning battles up front. They didn't sneak through the playoffs on luck. They choked drives, rattled quarterbacks, and made stars look average. Put that defense together with an offense that's finally clicking, and you've got a team that could own the conference for years. The crazy part is, the front office isn't sitting back celebrating. They're already making moves nobody's paying attention to yet, and one of them could quietly change everything about how this roster gets even stronger. The Seattle Seahawks keep winning without making noise, and that's exactly how John Schneider wants it. While everyone chases headlines and big free agent splashes, he's quietly collecting pieces that hold everything together when things get tough. One of those pieces just slipped through on a futures deal that most fans skipped right over in the transaction wire. His name is Tyler Hall, and he's not another young project hoping to stick around. This guy has already been through the league's grinder. Tyler Hall has bounced from Atlanta to Los Angeles to Las Vegas and kept showing up ready to play. He didn't just survive camps. He got real snaps as a nickel corner, made tackles in open space, stayed glued to routes, even blitzed off the edge and held up when the game mattered on Sundays. That's experience you can't coach into someone overnight. Seattle saw enough during his time there to bring him back on a low-risk futures contract. No big guarantees, no drama, just a dependable option who knows multiple schemes and still has room to fit perfectly into Mike Macdonald's system. In a league where slot corners get hurt or burned too often, keeping someone like that for almost nothing is pure value. This one small move does way more than fill a depth chart spot. It changes how the whole roster breathes. With Devin Witherspoon and Rick Woolen already locked in as starters, adding Tyler Hall means the secondary isn't walking on eggshells anymore. Injuries happen. A matchup shift, but the drop-off stays small. That kind of quiet strength gives the front office breathing room everywhere else. They don't have to panic draft another corner high. They can look at other needs instead. And when you free up that kind of flexibility at pick 32, the draft suddenly turns into a whole different weapon. Pick 32 looks like just another late first-round spot on the board, but for the Seattle Seahawks, it's turning into serious leverage. With the secondary already feeling solid thanks to those quiet additions, the pressure to grab another corner early vanishes. John Schneider doesn't have to reach or settle. He can step back, listen to the phone, and slide down a few spots if the value lines up right. That single move opens the door to extra picks in the range where real contributors hide. And those extra selections become gold for fixing the parts that keep an offense alive through December. Think about the offensive line first. A guard who started over 30 college games, moving from Wyoming to USC to Oregon, walks in with the kind of experience that translates fast. No long learning curve, just immediate help in pass protection and opening lanes. Then there's a versatile guy like Park, who played tackle but slides inside easily and can even snap at center when needed. That kind of flexibility across the front five protects Sam Darnold and gives the run game room to breathe. Add one more piece, maybe that Notre Dame running back who's flying under the radar, And suddenly, the backfield has fresh legs to spell Kenneth Walker and keep Zach Charbonnet from carrying too much too soon after his injury recovery. Beyond the beauty of this approach is how it snowballs. One smart trade down creates a chain reaction. Stronger protection up front, a deeper rotation in the backfield, fewer breakdowns when the season drags on. The offense stops feeling fragile. It starts feeling built to last. And when you've got that kind of depth locked in, the front office gains even more room to chase the kind of upgrades that turn good defenses into unstoppable ones, especially on the edge where the biggest difference makers live. The edge spot is where games get flipped in a hurry, and right now the Seattle Seahawks have some real questions hanging over it. Boy Maffey is playing well enough to cash in big somewhere soon. Uchenna Nwosu comes with a cap number that forces tough choices. And the front office can't just hope the current group holds up forever against the kind of lines they'll face in the playoffs. That's why names that can truly wreak havoc are starting to feel like must-have targets instead of nice-to-haves. Bradley Chubb stands out as the kind of proven force that fits Mike Macdonald's vision perfectly. He just put up 8.5 sacks after coming back from a serious knee issue, along with a pile of tackles for loss and consistent run defense that doesn't take plays off. He sets a hard edge, squeezes gaps, and still explodes in pass rush situations. Drop him next to Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence, with Ernest Jones cleaning behind them, and the whole defensive front tilts harder toward chaos for opposing offenses. If the price lands in a smart spot, and this could mean getting younger and more explosive at the position without losing production, then there's the one player who could push this defense from elite to outright terrifying. Max Crosby. The guy from Las Vegas doesn't just rack up double-digit sacks and high 80s in tackles year after year. He hits the quarterback constantly, forces turnovers, and plays every snap like the game is still on the line in the fourth quarter of a blowout. His motor never quits, and that relentless energy inside this scheme would make coordinators lose sleep. The tension in Las Vegas is no secret after last season, and if that door ever cracks open, Seattle has the championship culture, the defensive genius in Macdonald, and the supporting cast to make Max Crosby the missing piece that turns scary into unstoppable. But landing a star like that takes more than wishful thinking. It takes brains behind the scenes pulling strings nobody sees coming. The real upgrades for the Seattle Seahawks aren't always the ones wearing helmets. Sometimes the biggest difference comes from the guys drawing up the plays and breaking down film until every detail clicks. John Schneider and Mike Macdonald didn't wait for the headlines to chase talent. They went straight into enemy territory and pulled two sharp minds who know exactly how to turn good teams into consistent winners. Daniel Stern comes over from Baltimore, where he spent years as a strategy voice and quarterback whisperer in one of the league's most efficient rooms. He's the type who spots weaknesses before they show up on tape, who builds game plans that evolve from first snap to final drive. Now with him in the building, Sam Darnold gets someone dedicated to making sure every pre-snap read is cleaner, every adjustment sharper, every throw timed just right. That kind of mental edge doesn't show up in box scores, but it shows up when the pocket collapses and the ball still gets out fast. Then there's Brian Fleury, the guy nobody had circled as the next big coordinator name until Seattle interviewed him and handed him the keys. He was deep in the San Francisco system, working tight ends and the run game while George Kittle kept producing monster seasons. Fleury gets the outside zone foundation that already fits this roster, but he also sees the full field. Blocking schemes that open lanes, route concepts that create space, tight end usage that stresses defenses in multiple ways. Pair that with the steady voices already in place like John Benton, Justin Outen, and Jake Peets, and you've got a staff that doesn't just coach. It thinks ahead, adapts fast, and gives every player the best chance to win their one-on-one battles. With that kind of support locked in, the front office can focus on the toughest puzzle left, keeping the heart of the run game beating strong without breaking the bank or the roster balance. Keeping the run game powerful year after year means making choices that feel risky in the moment but smart over time. The Seattle Seahawks face one of those choices right now with Kenneth Walker, the explosive back who's become the engine of everything they want to do on offense. The easy path would be slapping a tag on him and calling it done, but that path comes with traps nobody wants to step into. The franchise tag would hand Kenneth Walker around $14.5 million for one season, fully guaranteed, putting him in the same pay bracket as the absolute top runners in the league. It locks up huge money with zero long-term control and squeezes the cap space needed to lock in young stars like Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devin Witherspoon, Rick Woolen, and Kobe Bryant when their deals come due. The transition tag drops the number a bit to about $11.5 million, but it still invites other teams to swoop in with big multi-year offers that Seattle would have to match exactly, or lose him with nothing in return. Neither option fits the way this front office builds. They've watched how the rotation with Zach Charbonnet kept Kenneth Walker fresh during that late-season surge in playoffs. Now they know he thrives in Brian Fleury's scheme. They just refuse to bet the farm on one big, inflexible check. The smarter road is sitting down for a real multi-year contract that gives Kenneth Walker the security and respect he deserves, while spreading the money out in a way that leaves breathing room. Strong guarantees early to show commitment, structured incentives that reward staying healthy and producing, and team-friendly options down the line. That approach keeps the backfield stacked, opens the door to add another young runner from this draft class for insurance, and protects the whole offense from wearing down when games turn into slogs. Get this one right, and the ground attack doesn't just survive. It becomes the reliable foundation that lets the defense rest, the quarterback stay clean. And the entire team push deeper into January again. The front office has shown they can thread that needle before. Now the question is how far they're willing to stretch the window in a conference that refuses to give anyone an easy day. The NFC doesn't hand out easy weeks anymore, and the Seattle Seahawks know that better than anyone after clawing their way to the top. Every division game feels like a war, every road trip a test of character. The San Francisco 49ers stay loaded with talent up front and won't stop reloading around their core pieces. The Los Angeles Rams keep finding ways to squeeze production out of a veteran group as long as their quarterback can stand tall. Even the Arizona Cardinals, still figuring things out, can steal a game or wreck a seeding if anyone shows up looking past them. Zoom out further and the NFC North looms large with teams hungry for the same playoff spots. The Detroit Lions keep building momentum, the Green Bay Packers stay dangerous with young talent everywhere, and the Chicago Bears are stacking pieces that could turn them into spoilers fast. No path stays clear, no bye feels guaranteed. That's the brutal reality of this conference right now. One off day, one injury cluster, one bad bounce, and suddenly you're watching from home instead of hosting in January. What sets Seattle apart in this mess is how they're constructing something that doesn't need everything to go perfectly to stay alive. A roster deep enough to absorb hits without folding. A defense tough enough to win ugly in cold stadiums or loud road environments. An offense balanced so no single player has to carry the load every week. This isn't about peaking for one magical run. It's about showing up ready to fight every single Sunday, because in a league this crowded, the teams that endure the grind are the ones that keep finding themselves in position when it matters most. Survive that. And the difference between good and great often comes down to one drive, one stop, one extra piece that tips the scales. And right now, the Seahawks are quietly gathering exactly those pieces while the rest of the league debates if last year was real. John Schneider has seen what happens when a special group rises fast, reaches the peak, and then slowly unravels under the weight of time and money. He lived through that once in Seattle. This time around, he's refusing to let history repeat itself in the same way. Every decision gets weighed not just for what it does today, but for how it keeps the core strong 3 or 4 seasons from now when contracts swell, bodies age, and the chase for another ring gets harder. The futures contract for Tyler Hall, the calculated flexibility at pick 32, the careful eye on edge rushers like Bradley Chubb or Max Crosby, the coaching additions of Daniel Stern and Brian Fleury, the measured path with Kenneth Walker's deal. None of it screams for attention. Yet together, they form a blueprint designed to stretch this window wide open, protect the quarterback longer, keep the defense fresh, maintain depth so injuries don't derail seasons, and build around a young nucleus that still has its best football ahead. This isn't about grabbing one more trophy and fading. It's about creating a program that stays relevant, that contends deep into winter year after year. And underneath all the strategy sits something even more powerful. A Seahawks fan reached out sharing how last season's run became his lifeline while his wife fought cancer. The games, the wins, the late-night highlights gave him a few hours each week where the weight lifted just enough to breathe. Football can't heal everything, but it can provide a steady rhythm when life feels chaotic. That's the deeper drive here. Not only stacking victories, but giving fans something reliable to rally around, something that turns Sundays into moments of hope and connection. The Seahawks aren't done reloading. The next quiet signing, the next bold trade, the next draft steal could already be in motion. This story isn't wrapping up. It's just heating up, and the league is starting to feel it whether they admit it or not.